was at a place called Buffington Pockets, just outside of Las Vegas, near the Valley of Fire. Was with two of my best friends by a campfire. Pretty much 95% of the area eh, is in dirt and rocks, with Mountain Dew and firecrackers. My friend Joe and I were chasing our 6'5" friend Jarrett around a giant bush, throwing M800s at his feet. We had him trapped. As I turned to Joe to have him go around the other side, I saw Jarrett 25 yards away behind us at the fire looking at us. I turned in fear and was standing a few feet away at what I could only describe as what looked like a Death Eater from Harry Potter. I turned and ran as fast as I could and yelled to Jared to run to the truck. And I turned around and nothing was following. It wasn't a trick of the light or our imagination. I was chasing it. One of the scariest moments of my life. So when I was about 7 years old, my parents, my older brother, and myself moved into my grandma's house. It was a large two-story house in a quiet residential area. Note, this was also back when my parents let us kids play outside unattended until the street lights came on. There was about 5 of us who used to play together over the summer holiday. I was the youngest, and two girls who were a year or so older than me, and two boys, my brother and his friends, who were 9 and 10 years old. We spent most of the summer either playing in a large vacant block between our houses or walking to the 7-Eleven to buy lollies. The vacant lot had long overgrown grass and large bushes that we used to play hide and seek in, and build cubby houses. On this particular day, we were playing hide and seek, and it was my turn to seek. So I was standing close to the road, facing the road as I was counting. I noticed a white van coming down the road very slowly. It stops in front of me, and an older man looks at me and gives me this creepy smile. I smiled back, but even at 7 years old, I got an uneasy feeling. He asks me my name, and I tell him my first name. He then starts asking other questions about myself, my parents, and where I live, most of which I don't answer. My brother overhears the conversation and comes running over, and the man takes off. A day or so later, we were walking to the shops when the same van starts driving towards us. He slows down and was now driving right next to us. My brother stops and asks what he wants. The guy just gives us the same creepy smile, and then, just as my brother was about to say something, he drenches us in a clear liquid. I know it wasn't water because it stung our eyes and it smelt awful. We ran home and told our parents, but he was long gone by then. Then the phone calls at our house started. The first time I answered, a man said he was doing a survey and wanted details about who lived in the house and when they were home. I again got an uneasy feeling and said that I would get my grandma, but he hung up before she picked up. The second call, the man started with the same questions. I quickly said that my dad was listening on the other phone, and the man just laughed and then said, "Your daddy isn't home yet." I screamed, and my grandma came running, but again the man hung up. I wasn't allowed to answer the phone anymore. All of us kids were only allowed to play in the backyard. The calls kept up for a couple weeks, but every time an adult would answer, he would hang up. Then the calls just stopped. We still weren't allowed outside on our own, so we spent more time playing in the ruckus room downstairs at my house. I would occasionally sleep down there on my own as well. One night, while sleeping in the ruckus room, I woke up to the sound of our side gate creaking open. Then footsteps in the gravel, and I was frozen in my bed. I looked up and saw the silhouette of someone looking down at me. I closed my eyes and pretended to be asleep. Eventually, I must have fell back to sleep because when I woke up the next morning, I thought it was a dream and didn't say anything. I fell asleep down there a couple nights later when I heard the side gate again, then footsteps opened my eyes to see the familiar silhouette at my window. This time, I sat up, absolutely terrified. I just stared, then I hear tapping at the window. And a man said, "Hi." I just start sobbing. He then asked me to open the side door so he could come inside and play with me. I screamed for my mom, and all I heard was a thud to the ground and someone running up the driveway. By the time my dad ran outside, he was long gone. The police were called, and when they looked down the side of the house, they found one shoe and footprints in the dirt. He obviously didn't have time to collect his shoe. We never saw him again, but apparently there had been similar sightings and problems a few blocks from us about 6 months before. Back when it was originally released, I really wanted to get my hands on the new Xbox One X. You know this one. It was 4K, ready with a considerably faster processor. So naturally, I tried absolutely everything in my power to get one as immediately as I could. My local Walmart was having one of those Black Friday sales. And like so many others, I stood patiently in line waiting to try and beat the rush to grab one. But I was nowhere near sprightly or fortunate enough to actually get one that way. So after failing to get one in person, I tried getting one online, but as rapidly as I wanted one to own one, the users who were reselling them were asking way too much money, and I simply couldn't afford to shell out double or sometimes triple the price. After weeks of trying to find a way to get a hold of one, I had to come to the conclusion that it just wasn't meant to be. It was then that I had something of a stroke of luck, although I had resorted to Craigslist in my desperation. I did actually find someone that was selling their Xbox One X at no more than the original buying price of the console. Naturally, I was skeptical as hell. For the life of me, I simply couldn't fathom why they would be doing something like that. But one thought overrided all the others. If I didn't put in a bid now, someone else would, and I could kiss my chance at owning an Xbox One X. Goodbye. I immediately emailed the seller and let them know that I was very interested. Not only that, but I had the cash on hand and ready to go. I also offered to pay for gas or whatever it would take to get the console delivered to my door. I figured that would be a pretty appealing offer to someone who I guess was just strapped for cash around the holidays. I was stunned to get an almost instantaneous response stating that they did still have the Xbox and were in fact still waiting for a proper bid from a serious buyer. They politely asked for a delivery address so they could bring it over as soon as possible. I was sort of hesitant to divulge such personal information and asked if it would be a better idea to first meet in public, since it was much safer that way. I'll be honest, I wasn't too pleased with the idea of a total stranger coming over to my house, but he informed me that he was going to be very busy running holiday errands all day and that there would be only some pretty specific windows of opportunity to drop it off. it would be much more convenient for him if it was about to come over to my house. I was still not particularly ecstatic about the idea, but oh man, I really, really wanted the new 4K Xbox. So in the end, I agreed and texted the dude my home address. I figured it was safer than me going over to his place. At least this way, I'd be on my home turf. I was so happy and eager to get my hands on that new console, and that excitement only grew as I began waiting for the guy to turn up, but he took his sweet goddamn time. I mean, hours and hours passed by before I began to suspect that he wasn't going to actually show. Around 1 in the afternoon, 4 hours after he was due, I was seriously losing my cool, thinking it was a prank or something. I tried texting the guy back asking him where he was. Previously, I got pretty timely responses from the guy, but this time I didn't hear a single thing from him. By 6 that evening, I just lost all hope and I assumed that he got a better offer from someone else and didn't have the heart to tell me he picked a new buyer. I was disappointed more than words can possibly describe. I got in myself so psyched, and I can't even tell you how deflated I was. It was one thing to not have gotten the item from the store. I could come to terms with that. But I was so close to having one in my hands. It sucked having my hopes dashed so cruelly like that. But that didn't mean I given up entirely. So for the rest of the night, I kept looking around on Craigslist and other sites to find a new Xbox One X that was within my price range. But as I was getting ready to wind down for bed, I heard something. At first, I dismissed it as the wind or something, that it was maybe just my imagination. But then I heard it again. Someone was knocking. Not at my front door, but lightly on the TV room window. I walked up to the bedroom window and peered out into the driveway, seeing this strange looking dude at my front door, looking around as if checking to make sure the coast was clear. I'm suspicious, but I go downstairs to see what he wants. He identified himself as the guy who had the Xbox, apologized for being so late, and explained he had gotten backtracked with errands during his day. Then he casually asked if I still had the money. I opened the door all the way, but still kept the screen door closed as a precaution. Something just didn't feel right, like at all. I told him that, yeah, I still had the cash on me, but I didn't see that he had anything with him. So I calmly asked if he brought the Xbox with him, like if it's still in his car or something like that. As I expected, he told me it was out in his van. He told me to get the money and come out to the van with him, and he would get it for me. I let him know that I wasn't really comfortable walking out to his van, but he seems to understand and tells me it was all good. I briefly looked over the guy's shoulder and see that there is in fact someone else sitting there in the van. Not only that, but the dude at my door had been keeping his hands concealed in the little front pouch of his hoodie the whole time while talking to me, and there was definitely something more than just his hands in there. Don't ask me how I could tell. I just could. You know, when you get a gut feeling about something, yeah. That I tried to stay as chill as possible as I lied to him. And I told him that I'd just go fetch my wallet and return in a minute. His mood immediately changed as I closed the door in his face before locking it. I then make the split-second decision, better to be safe than sorry, so I pulled my phone out of my shorts and dialed 911, but as I do, I heard a loud thud on my front door, then the sound of the van's engine revving before it zooms off into the night. When I went to check and see if he damaged my door, I nearly pissed myself when I saw a rusty old hatchet buried in the wood. I was right that he had something in his sweatshirt and that I shouldn't go out to that van with him. Be careful who you buying from, folks. You never know who's behind that username.